talking about why we were doing this because it was in honor of,
Thank you.
of September being Alcohol Awareness, Addiction, and Recovery Month. And
Okay.
so we wanted to do a program and provide students with information about alcohol, about its dangers, about its consequences, and also how to be responsible if you are going to engage. And so we have a special treat because we have both our counselors as well as our nurse, one of the nurses from the Wellness Center, Nurse Arnita, and she's going to give us additional information about this topic, as well as Mr. DeVille Kent, who's one of our counselors as well. And I am Dr. Danielle Bryant, the other counselor in the Wellness Center. So we definitely welcome you all today. And we look forward to going ahead and getting started. So is there anything that you would like to say, DeVille, before Nurse Arnita gets started?
Yes. Just thank you and welcome to our Friday Forums. This is a wonderful topic for today. I just want to say that, we had a good time learning information from the Wellness Center's nurses this morning. And I'm just grateful for those who have chimed in to participate with us, and grateful that we have Nurse Arnita here to bless us with some knowledge. And let's just have a discussion and learn all about alcohol awareness, addiction, and recovery. Thank you, Danielle.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So please, Nurse Arnita, feel free to introduce yourself and take it in the direction you would like to go. I'll go ahead and facilitate the slides for you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. As stated, my name is Arnita Shelton, and I am the campus nurse at Prince George's Community College. I have worked at PG College for 40 years part-time, and I have been a registered nurse over 40 years. And I have had I've worked in different fields, but where I've worked the most is at Prince George's Hospital, where I have had a lot of patients that have been hospitalized because of alcoholism. You wouldn't think a person would be in a hospital because of being an alcoholic, but I will discuss some of the reasons why. So what I'm going to talk about today, thank you, DeVille. What I'm going to talk about today is the mental and the physical effects of alcohol. And alcohol abuse affects 16.6 million people, and nearly 90,000 people die. That's a lot of people dying from alcohol abuse. Depression is one of the first side effects that you may see from a person that is an alcoholic. Alcohol is a drug, and the people that are alcoholics, they need the drug and they want the drug. They wake up in the morning. There you go. Thank you, Danielle. They wake up in the morning wanting alcohol, and we also have people that are called functional alcoholics. They do everything drinking alcohol, and you sometimes will not even know it. As a matter of fact, they can't do nothing without the alcohol. That's how they function. I know a lot of people like that. And alcohol does have a smell, and these people, you don't even know it. Half the time, you can't even tell they're drunk. They are drunk, but they can function. And depression is one of the things that come from being drunk, I'll say, and they sometimes are paranoid. So they're fearful. Even though they're functioning, they're fearful. They think somebody might find out. A lot of people that work functional alcoholics that in our homes and they don't want other people to find out that they are alcoholics. So they have a lot of fear and a lot of guilt because they really don't want to be like this. And they have a lot of disconnection from their family and friends, and anxious and sadness because they really do not want to be that way. Beer and wine is an alcohol. A lot of people don't think beer and wine is an alcohol, but it is. So don't, just remember that, because they always think cognac was that whiskey, gin, vodka, but also wine and beer is an alcohol. Some of the physical effects is you have weight gain, because weight gain is coming from the calories. Alcohol has a lot of calories, and you have the popped, I'll call them popped blood vessels. Your eyes, I have seen this as a nurse when their eyes yellow. This is usually in the latter stage, usually when they're older and they have been drinking, most of them from teenagers. And as they get older, they get these yellow eyes. They're very obvious. You'll see it. And they'll get this big stomach. The men even look like they're pregnant. And it's called cirrhosis of the liver, usually when you get this big stomach. And you will see these people and you'll be like, wow, what's up with that? Because they got yellow eyes and a big stomach. And that's because of years of alcohol abuse. They have a puffy face. Usually, and if you all are looking at the slide on the right is what we in the middle is what we're talking about, and on the right, and that's also from the calorie count. And their skin is usually real, what you call it, real shallow looking, and it does have a yellow tinge to it. From the cirrhosis, usually in the latter stage. But one of the main things I want to talk about is during pregnancy. Alcohol abuse. I've had, when I used to work labor and delivery in NICU, which is intensive care nursery, we would have women that were pregnant and they would have a baby. And their whole pregnancy, they were still drinking. We do not advise anyone to even drink beer or alcohol. Truly not the others, like the whiskey, the cognac, the gin, during pregnancy. And one of the reasons is their babies, usually when they're born, they have these, we call them low weight babies, which means smaller babies. Like most of our babies, full term baby, we want them to be at least 7 pounds, 8 pounds. That's a nice chunky baby. But they have these little teeny babies, like 5 pounds, 4 pounds. And when they have these little babies, they can't thrive on their own. So most of the time they're in the intensive care nursery and an incubator, which is a special crib for months. And the reason it takes months is because they don't grow well. They're little. They call it the baby syndrome, the baby alcohol syndrome. They don't thrive well. They cry all day long. If you hold them, they cry. If you put them down, they cry, because they are getting the alcohol from their mothers. When the mother's pregnant, it goes to the mother's umbilical cord to the baby, and the baby's getting drunk, basically. So the baby's coming out shaking, like having a seizure, and they cry. So what we used to have to do is put a blanket over the crib, because they didn't like a lot of light and noise. No light, no noise, just to calm them down. They would shake like they was having a seizure. They didn't drink the milk well because their tongues were not developed. They had smaller tongues. They had little heads and a little tongue, and breastfeeding was not good at all. They couldn't even do that well. Everything they did was an effort for them because they were smaller. As they got older, which took longer than an average baby to grow, they had, not all babies, but a lot of them had a low IQ level. As they got older, they usually were smaller, shorter babies with short stature, like short arms, short legs, and they didn't gain weight well, and their coordination was not good. So these are side effects if the mother drank a lot. I mean, we've had mothers that drink the whole pregnancy all day, all night, that type thing. So these are the effects on the baby. And of course, the mother would usually have to have a C-section because she couldn't deliver the baby on her own. So if any of you are pregnant or thinking of getting pregnant or will get pregnant in the future, please do not drink while you're pregnant, because we do not want these little babies. They just don't thrive well. And it's just not healthy. So you all just be careful out there. With the drinking, it just, let me see. When you're doing things and you're drunk, your equilibrium's off, everything is off. So just be careful, and especially when you're around people and your surroundings, because sometimes you're drinking, you'll pass out and wake up and you don't even know where you are. So be careful, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Nurse Arnita. Wow.
A lot, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And I'm sure you still have more.
Yes, ma'am. I was just cutting it down.
Exactly. And we're
Woo.
going to tap, definitely going to tap all of that.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
you're welcome. So in talking about the physical effects, particularly on pregnancy, on the fetus, and on a newborn,
Mhm.
very good information to have, particularly for our audience who may be, for the majority speaking, may be in childbearing age.
Yes.
So that's definitely important. And
Mhm.
not only that, but that there are no safe measurements. It's
Mm-mm.
not, just a little bit. It's
Mhm.
nothing. It's all or nothing. If you take a sip,
That's right.
that's drink.
Mhm.
So
Mhm. And you
so
and Miss
go
Danielle,
on.
you just reminded me of two more things I didn't mention. Nails. I mean, us women, we love our little nails. I'm not saying everybody that drinks are gonna have these nails, but I have seen people, and all these effects I'm talking about usually happen when you just drink it, alcoholic, long term. Sometimes they have nails that are curl over, and they'll actually be very brittle. They'll break easy, and they'll be yellow. The yellow has a lot to do with the alcohol. And your hair, the texture of your hair will change. So if you have nice thick hair, all of a sudden you have this thin hair. You'd be like, "What's up with my hair?" And it'll start coming out when you comb it. Like I said, these are usually long term effects. So be
Okay.
careful
Okay.
with that. Thank you, Danielle,
You're
and
very
everybody.
you're very welcome. Um,
Hmm.
And so I'll just go to the next slide. Nurse Ann spoke about this a little earlier today, but you also touched upon it in terms of the effects that it can have long term. So not
Hmm.
only the long term consequences physically, but then we've got some long term consequences that impact the brain as well.
Hmm.
So just want to make sure that we get across the idea that drinking has an impact on you holistically.
Yes. Hmm.
You know, not just the idea of getting drunk, but that it impacts your physicality, it impacts your emotional state, it impacts your psychological state because you may not be as uh, able to make positive and right decisions.
Hmm.
So it really impacts the total person.
Yeah.
Yes. Hmm.
Nurse Arnita, could
Yes.
you speak a little bit about alcohol related blackouts? I see you on our
Uh huh.
form here, it highlighted blackouts. And,
Hmm.
from a counseling perspective, from an addiction counseling perspective, we're aware of what blackouts are. But
Yes.
the audience may not have that information. So could you shed a little bit of light on that?
Sure. A blackout is when you're, let's say that you go to sleep and you just sleeping more than usual, or you just sitting down and you just kind of slumber to sleep. Now, I didn't tell you all this part of nursing I've done. I'm also a sexual assault forensic examiner nurse. That means I do rape exams. And the number
Mm,
one reason for most of my exams have been from date rapes, and most of that has been from people that were drinking on a date. She drank too
mm,
much. I'm gonna say she or he drank too much, and they just blacked out. And when they woke
mm,
up, they were somewhere they didn't even know where they were. They didn't know how they got there. So blackouts usually mean that you just drank too much. I mean, first of all, we have to even ask ourselves, why are we drinking? That's a
mm,
good question because we're drinking for a reason. We drinking to forget something. We might have anxiety, so we need to find that out. And that's a good reason we can contact our counselor. But blacking out just means you drank too much. I mean, one beer, maybe. I don't even want you to do that. But 5 beers, you probably gonna black out. That's too much
mm,
alcohol. You just passed out, and it's gonna take you a minute to get yourself together, and you're gonna have
mm.
probably a serious headache. Yes.
That's a
Mm-hmm.
good point, Nurse Arnita. Um, and it reminds me of one of the questions in the Kahoot game that we have, and that's posted in the chat for anyone to access. Because one of the questions there is, what helps a person sober up?
Mm-hmm.
And some of the answers are coffee, a shower, eating a big meal, and really the answer is time.
Yes, that's it. Mm-hmm. I would not want a person blacking out to get in the shower, because they're going to fall out, bust their head in the shower or something. And eating, you probably just going to throw that up. So time, you really, and I said you just going to have to sit around and wait to feel better, which can take hours. Yes.
Yes,
So
from what I
I would
was
not,
reading,
yeah.
one drink per hour in terms of how your body might metabolize.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yes, and your weight. I mean, if you're a little teeny 90 pound and you drink 5 beers in an hour, you're gonna truly pass out, and it's gonna take you a minute to wake up.
Hmm.
So yes, it goes with the body weight too, and your metabolism. I mean, it goes with you in general. Everybody. I mean, I've seen some teeny women and men that can drink, but the effects are just longer to get it together.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So time is it. Yes, time is it. And
Yes,
on the
that's a
short,
myth. That's a myth that there are things out there that can help
yes,
sober you up
yes, it is.
quickly. No such thing.
No cold shower. No, none of the above. Just wait it out. Mm-hmm.
And it's good that
Yes.
we're going over this because this could potentially, help someone that may give someone wrong information that could exacerbate the current situation that they're in. Thinking that giving caffeine and trying to get a person to get into the shower or give them food, because there
Mm-hmm.
are a lot of related death causes with alcoholism, or just
Mm-hmm.
uh, being over, or I don't know, and you can help me with this, Nurse Arnita. Is it over
Mm-hmm.
toxified?
Right.
Is that a term where you're just your body just has too much alcohol in it? So
Mm-hmm.
individuals could die of alcohol poisoning. Individuals
Yes.
can die from what is it?
Alcohol. Call it alcohol
Intoxication.
intoxication.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
yeah.
alcohol. Mm-hmm. And actually, too, I have had patients that have come in when we had to. Well, this is actually deep, but they come in and they're laying down and they'll throw up and they'll aspirate, which means they, swallow. Now that's
Mhm.
dangerous too when you get all that. You already got the alcohol in your chest, then you're throwing up, and you're so blacked out that you can't even get it together. You don't know how to turn. You don't know to turn to the side. And they come in there. You got to put a tube down your throat. Got to suck it out. So that's dangerous too. You can actually die like that when you aspirate. So you have to be careful.
Yeah.
And if you're with somebody, you just don't, like I said, don't be putting them in the shower, and truly don't be trying to feed them,
Hmm.
because that is not going to work. You're going to get sicker. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
No, thank you. Like I said, you're coming with a wealth of knowledge and information that is educating us all.
Mm-hmm.
And that information is just golden.
Yeah. And it's scary to see. It's scary. I've seen a lot of patients, like that. And it's scary to see somebody just from drinking that they can't even sit up. And you sit them up and they fall down. And I mean, it's really something to
Mm.
see. Yes. Yes, it is.
Now, to our participants on today's forum, do you all have any questions in regards to the information that has been mentioned thus far, as it pertains to, alcohol awareness, addiction and recovery, any of the impacts on the body and the brain, any of the information regarding drinking while pregnancy, the connection between psychosis and depression and schizophrenia, anything like that we've mentioned? Now would be a good time to either put a response in the chat or unmute yourself and see if you have any questions for Nurse and Arnita and the counselors.
All righty. All right, y'all.
Well, I actually had a question for you, Nurse Arnita.
Yes.
Have you had any experience with? Okay, wait a minute. I hear a
Wait
lot.
a minute, we've got Sade in the
That's a
chat.
good question.
Yeah, I hear a
And
lot of
Sade
people say
says,
that.
I hear a lot of people say that alcoholism is hereditary. Is that true? Great
All
question.
right. That's a good question. Okay. From my experience that I've seen with the alcoholism, let's say children. If you're in the house and your mother and father drinking, a lot, not all children, but a lot of them, we copy off of our parents, most of us. If you see your mother smoke, some people smoke because they see that. So usually when you, not usually, but sometimes when you see your parents do it, or you grew up with people that drank, or your peers drank, or your sister brothers drank, you'll drink. I won't say it's hereditary, but it's usually gone with behavior that you observe. So like if your parents drink, a lot of children that parents do drink, they drink, but most of the time it's because they see them drink. So it's not nothing in their blood that'll make them do it because that's your mother. You're gonna drink because she drank because of the blood type, but just from the behavior. Now a lot of people see their parents drink and they don't want to act like that because their parents start fighting. Because a lot of people, I don't know what it is with alcohol, it'll make them want to fight. They get the fighting, and the children are seeing the parents fighting, and it's because they drunk. Because you do different, your behavior is not the same. So I won't say it's hereditary, but it's it could be a learned behavior. Let's say that just from observation.
Yeah, and if I may add,
That was a good question.
yeah, if I may add, Nurse Arnita, you're right. The using of alcohol or any illegal substance, that is a behavior that individuals may see and learn in regards to, addiction. What we're taught is if you have a family history of addiction, that doesn't guarantee that you will have a history of addiction. What some of the literature speaks to is that there is a possibility that you might be more likely to have an addiction because of the family history. But as far as hereditary and in your genes, no. Just because
Right.
that might be a family history, that doesn't mean that that is going to be your history as well.
Right. Right. That's good, DeVille. Yes. And we call it, well, in nursing we call it a learned behavior. And that's just a behavior that you see in your parents. Because as you know, we live in the house with, well, most of us live in the house with our parents, and what they see a lot of times is what we do. Just like a person that's abused. Most people that abuse people have been in a family that have been abused or see it. So it's not like I said, it's not a blood thing, but it's just a learned sometimes. And then sometimes they see it and they don't want no parts of it, which is even better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yes. That was a good question. Thank you, Sadie. I think that was Sadie.
Sade.
Sade. Oh, thank you, Sade. All righty. Yep.
So me, I got tons of questions for you, Nurse Arnita.
Yes, sir. I'm here to listen. Yes, DeVille. Thank you.
I was wondering, could you talk a little bit about alcohol withdrawal?
Okay. Okay. Alcohol withdrawal. Let me see. I always like to think of my patients. My patients, I have by being a nurse so long, I've seen some stuff, and I've and not only as patients, but like family members. Or when you go out, alcohol withdrawals is like I've seen people have seizures. No, seizures like tremors. They just shake, 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 shake. Because the alcohol is what you call it. It's like a poison. And it goes through your body and it's too much. It has effects on your heart. It has effects on your brain. Like it can have effect on your high blood pressure. And this is usually long term. I'm not just talking about drinking a beer a week, but there are a lot of people that just drink all day, every day. So the withdrawals, you have shakes. You don't have no appetite because everything revolves around the alcohol. You wake up, the beer is at the bedside. At noontime, when it's time to eat lunch, you drink a beer or whatever you drink. So it's too much. Your body can't take it. Then after a while, when you get the cirrhosis, which I was talking about long term, then you have problems even going to the bathroom to urinate. So it starts affecting your whole body. But the withdrawals is usually the seizures. Then you can't remember stuff. It has a lot to do with your memory. Like the dementia, we've heard of what you call Alzheimer's and dementia. You can't remember nothing. You can't put the key in the door. I've seen people trying to put the key in the door. They got the key up at the window. I mean, the behavior is out of whack. But your body just has, your senses are just off. And I've seen people just tremor. And there's nothing you can do for that. You can't sit there, even when a person has a seizure. We've been taught not to hold. Back in the day, they were telling us to put a tongue blade in their mouth. You leave them alone and let them get through. And this is all that you can do for them. You might urinate on yourself. You might have a bowel movement. I mean, everything that you have is just out of whack. So you can do a little bit of anything. And you just have to really observe that person to make sure like they don't fall or hit their head or do something to hurt themselves. Mm-hmm. That's something to see also. Yes, it is. Something to see. So, and a lot of people I see on here says traffic injuries. Some of the traffic, you'd be surprised at the people that are drinking and driving. They driving and drunk. That's why we see all the DWI. DWIs. They drinking and totally drunk. And when they stand up and walk the line, they doing a circle. No line. So they have people, and of course, you shouldn't do that. The alcohol or drinking while you drive because your impairment is off. So you definitely shouldn't do that. But a lot of people drink and drive. If you all are still going to club, well, no, that's why we can't go to club no more because of the pandemic. But I remember back in the day when whoever would go to a club and a lot of drinking been happening at the club, and they gotta come home and they would be so drunk. And you just, you should have a designated driver. Somebody needs to be sober when you all go out. Because if you are drunk, somebody that's not drunk needs to drive because it's very dangerous. And you don't want a DWI on your record, police record. All right. Any other question? Let me see. I'm looking at here. Interpersonal violence. I'm seeing on here saying 18% of interpersonal violence, and I mentioned about the fight, and I don't know what's up with that. I mean, I've seen people, just out in the street, just want to fight when they drunk. And then when they fight, they can't even hit each other. Because it's like looking at a boxing match and you fighting a shadow. You just hitting at people and you way off because your equilibrium is off. I don't know what the fight, I've seen that. I don't know why they want to fight, but that's one of the things.
It goes back to one of the myths that, you become more friendly or more social the more you drink. And in reality, the more that you engage in, you're more likely to withdraw and isolate and demonstrate aggression because alcohol is in that category of a depressant, which slows down the central nervous system. So, I think another casual term is like a downer. And so it actually can over time with a lot of drinking in one setting or just over time, the more intoxicated you become, it can make people aggressive and they're already, as you said, impaired. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that's when that's where and how assaults happen.
Yes. And it happens quite a bit. And you reminded me of something, Bell. During the pandemic, out of all the places that had been open were the liquor stores. I was really surprised that liquor stores were open. And when I first heard about the pandemic, one of the first things I thought about, I knew unfortunately the domestic violence was going to be up. But they have been saying over the news that the alcoholism and the drug abuse is on the rise. Because people are home, they don't have nothing to do, and there's more drinking and drugging and abuse since we have been home. So that reminded, I was really surprised to hear that and to see that the liquor stores were open. And people were just going in there drinking. So and you said, how do I feel? And I thought, for real, I thought that should have been one of the stores that were closed. But of course, that's just my thought. That's a money maker. That's a what you call that? A consumer. I guess they just knew they were gonna make money that way. And if it's how we have to do the social distancing and wear masks, they didn't care. They were going there one at a time and get their bottle and be gone. So I think it was also a money maker. But I was really surprised to see the liquor stores were open. A lot of them. Not all of them, I don't think, but a lot of them were.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes, they do. You're right. They use it for their stress.
Hmm.
Yes. That's a good point also.
It's funny that you said that because during our first session,
Mm-hmm.
Danielle and I had mentioned that we had a brief conversation on how liquor stores were considered essential when other
Mm-hmm.
things that could have been considered a lot more essential were closed.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
I thought that was very interesting as well, Nurse Anita.
Yeah, that was something. And it's expensive. I see on here it says increase. Now I don't know how much they cost, but I don't think a beer. Well, I don't know, but it says increasing prices. I'm sure it's not cheap. And the more expensive, the more you drink, like the more you go up with the cognacs and stuff like that. I'm sure that's more expensive. Even wine. I mean, back in the day, they would just have a little wine, a couple dollars, but now that can go up. So it's expensive. Just like cigarettes. Back in the day, you can buy probably a pack of cigarettes for a couple dollars. I don't know how much they cost now. I couldn't even get my ah. That was funny. I saw that. What in the world? She couldn't get her eyes in. I mean, that's something. Yep, but it's expensive. And
Miss
then I
Arnita,
think
can you,
yes,
Miss Arnita,
yes.
can you speak to the idea of tolerance with
Tolerance of that.
alcohol
Mm-hmm.
and how tolerance increases with usage?
Okay. What I've seen is, let's see, like you might start off with a beer. Okay, one beer, and let's say you okay. You feel nice. I'll say like that. You feel nice, giggly and all that. And then and then after a while, the giggly will go away, the good feeling will go away. Then you might get another. And I think it just has to do with the feeling of how you feel. If you drink one beer and you don't feel nothing, let's say you drink the beer and you all right, you think you're not super drunk, but you feeling nice. You just keep drinking it till you just almost don't even know you drunk. And that's when the point comes when you just pass out. You done drank 4 beers, and let's say you start mixing stuff. Now this ain't good either. Let's say you drink a beer, then you drink a glass of wine. Cause I've seen people do that, and then they'll sit there and drink a cognac. That's like 3 different things with 3 different effects. I mean, I'm thinking beer, wine, cognac, and all them got 3 different feels, I'm thinking. And that's just
So,
too much of anything. So the effects, the more you drink, the more it's going to be up. But the more you drink it, like in time, you can tolerate it more. If you drink a beer today, I'm 16, and every day I drink more, 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 more. By the time I'm 30, I can probably drink a case of beer because my body can tolerate it. Eventually, it can tolerate more than it used to. So the more I think you drink, the more you can tolerate it, but the more it messes you up. Yeah, They be drinking some stuff. Then they start mixing stuff, and then that's when you're gonna get sick.
Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
the idea of tolerance, where the one beer might get you, um, might produce a buzz. If you keep
Yeah.
drinking that same one
Mm-hmm.
beer, you're going to need two to feel
Right.
that same buzz that you used to
Mm-hmm.
feel. And you keep
Mm-hmm.
drinking that two, you're going to need three,
There you
to
go.
get that same feeling that you got with the first one.
Yes.
Because you've been raising that level of what your body can tolerate, and it's
Yes.
really a false sense
Mm-hmm.
of mastery.
Mm-hmm. Cause you probably feel this. You're so drunk. I don't even think you know how you feel. You know what? Cause your feelings go, your senses go. You sitting there, you don't know what's happening around you, so you probably don't even know that you're drunk. And no problem, you don't. So you thinking, I need to feel better. I need to feel better, and you already drunk, but you don't even know it. So that's. And then
So
the older you get,
Sade's got a great question here in terms of, she's asking, how do you feel about considering alcohol as a gateway drug? I see people who
mm,
abuse alcohol sometimes abuse other substances as well. What are your
mm-hmm,
thoughts on that, Devel?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
it
In
is.
regards to as far as the gateway, how it works is, alcohol is something that we will call a companion drug because alcohol pairs in, very ironically, when you're looking at polysubstance abuse and polysubstance use, which is just multiple substance use, alcohol pairs with other drugs. And so, Danielle, when you raised the question about tolerance, one of the things that is asked of individuals in regards to their level of usage and whether they are at a level of abuse or addiction, tolerance is a big component to that. And, is the same amount that you used before, does it have the same effect, or do now you have to use more? And so when you're looking at the alcohol, for some people, when they get that level of tolerance, uh, and they have to drink more and more and more, it might be a little more inconvenient to get that same feeling that they were seeking in the past. And so they may move on to something, another substance or another drug that will give them a greater feeling that um, is ignited, if you will, faster, because some drugs will take effect sooner than others. And so when you move on to more harder drugs or different drugs, a lot of times that gateway is because you're now not getting the same feeling of a high that you crave
Mm-hmm.
for and you desire. So now you have to either move on to combinating drugs or move to a different drug to chase that first high, if you will, or chase that elated feeling to keep going,
Mm-hmm.
especially for those who self medicate and use drugs to medicate. Um, so yeah, so that's my thoughts in regards to a gateway drug. Realistically,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
when one of the things that we tell people and inform them in regards to drug education, one drug is no better than the other or less harmful than the other,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of times in the world of addiction, what people may do is they may switch a drug. So, okay, I was using cocaine and I was addicted to cocaine, and cocaine is viewed as this more harsh drug, so I may switch to alcohol because I think that the death risk may be lesser. But in all actuality, it doesn't matter what drug that you use, because over time, when you get
Mm-hmm.
to the level of addiction, there are these negative impacts that it has on the brain and in the body. And so, in regards to gateway, yeah, alcohol can very well be a gateway drug to an individual. Or for some people, alcohol could just be their drug of choice, and they may not expand out of that particular drug of choice, but it very well can. Yes. Looks like we have
Mm-hmm.
another question too from Claudia. Is drinking every weekend 1 or 2 glasses of wine um, concede you an
Considered.
al- consider you an alcoholic person? Um,
Mm. Um, we used to ask when I was working in the hospital. We had a questionnaire that we asked all our patients when they came in when they were admitted. And I remember one of the questions would be, "Do you drink?" And most people told me they drink social. So I would say, "Yeah, I drink
mhm,
socially." So I would say, "So what is socially?" And they would say, "I only drink on the weekend." So then I would say, well, what do you drink on the weekends and how much do you drink on the weekends? Most people would say, like the question, 1 or 2 glasses of wine.
mhm,
But then I had some people say, I think I'm an alcoholic because I couldn't wait till Friday so I could drink. So
mhm,
all during the week, because they were working, they didn't drink. But they couldn't wait till Friday. They would drink the whole, well, you said 1 or 2. But some
mhm,
people drink the whole weekend. By the time Sunday came, this time to go to work, they couldn't even go to work Monday because they drank so much. So 1 or 2, 1 glass, maybe you said 1 or 2 the weekend, maybe Saturday, Sunday. Um, maybe not, but I think it depends on the person. I don't want anybody to be waiting till Friday to drink because that means you need it or you really want it. And it also depends on the person. So maybe I'm thinking one of Saturday, Sunday, but not no couple glasses the weekend, and that's all you think about all week. And we see what the screen is saying. Okay, up top to the. Oh, that's good. Men binge is 5 or more drinks on one occasion. That's a lot of drinks. And women is 5 or more on one occasion. And see, the men can supposed to be able to tolerate more than the women. But I seen
and
some women that
yeah,
can get down. They can get
yeah.
down.
I was gonna say
Mm-hmm.
that isn't always the case. But
Mm-mm.
to add on to your question, Claudia, when we're looking at alcoholism and being an alcoholic,
Mm-hmm.
one of the specific and significant factors in that is there is a dependency for alcohol. And so if you're having 1 or 2 glasses on the weekend, that doesn't make you an alcoholic or someone that abuses or is even addicted, because what happens is if an individual is at a alcoholic stage or at an addiction stage, 1 or 2 drinks, they'll be able to tolerate that, and 1 or 2 drinks would
Mm-hmm.
not have the same effect, and they would need more to get an effect from the alcohol. And then there is a chemical dependency to the drug. And so when there's a chemical dependency of the drug, now you're at a phase where you don't have the luxury of deciding when you're going to have a drink. Like Nurse Arnita said, before people roll out of the bed, they have a drink. Before they brush their teeth, they have a drink. Before they go to work, they have to have a drink. While they're driving to work, while they're taking their children to daycare, they have to engage in the for this particular case, alcohol. So no, 1 to 2 glasses of wine does not consider you an alcoholic person. But to Nurse Arnita's point, you know, individuals function differently um, with addiction. And so if you're waiting for the weekends, and on the weekends you are drinking bottles of wine every weekend, now
Mm-mm.
now you could possibly be stepping into the stages of alcohol abuse. I hope that answers your question. But that was a wonderful question.
That was good.
Yes, it,
That
it
was good.
was. Yes, it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I thank you for referring to the chart, Nurse Arnita, because I think it can be very helpful in terms of um, we like to measure and quantify things, right? And so
Yes.
being able to, yeah, and so being able to have a reference point of where does 1 to 2 a week fall can be very helpful.
Mhm.
And according to this, 1 to 2 doesn't even rise to the level of concern
Nope.
when you look at it
5
per
or
week.
more.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, now, if you had four, as Devel was saying, four classes on Friday, and then four on Saturday, and then four on Sunday, well, now that's 12 classes. That's 12
Yeah.
free within a week. And so then you're starting to look at
Mm-hmm.
what might be something that might be turning the corner for you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And then on that point, that's when it starts getting rough for your family and your work. Because if you're doing all that on the weekend, by Monday, you gonna have a hard. Not everybody, because some people can function like that. Some people have to do that to go to work. But most people, they're gonna have a
right.
serious headache. They don't want to get out of the bed. Their stomach hurt, everything. They can't even go to work. So now you in the bed. It's supposed to be to work. Children still downstairs. All kind of stuff. So it goes on and on.
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So, as we begin to wrap up, because we do end at 4:30, just want to make sure that there aren't additional questions. We had some great questions. We had better questions this session than last session.
That is absolutely true. That is very true.
Kudos to the students.
Those were good.
Yeah. So yeah, let's put a call in for any final questions. Feel free to. Here we go. What course
cause headaches after? Okay. What causes headaches after drinking? It's your blood.
Go right ahead.
Your blood, what you call it? Your blood vessels constrict, which means they get small. When you drink, just like when I was talking about the baby, the mother's pregnant, she's drinking, and the umbilical cord is the mother, and it goes to the baby. And all these blood vessels constrict, which means they get small. So when you're drinking, your blood vessels in your brain constrict. It makes them small, and that usually causes the headache. Everything just gets, well, not everything, but your blood vessels constrict, meaning it gets smaller, and your blood is not circulating correct. It's not flowing. It's flowing, but not like it should. Then it got the alcohol going through it. So instead of blood, you still got the blood, but the alcohol, and that's just too much. So that causes the headaches. And then usually, you haven't eaten. Now I know me, and most people, if they haven't eaten, they got a headache. I got to eat. If you don't eat, most people don't eat, you're gonna get a headache. Then they trying to mixing up all the alcohol, just anything else that you can do. But it's usually because of the blood constriction that gives you a headache.
Okay, very good.
That was good. That was a good question too. Y'all something smarter than a fifth grader.
All right, very nice. And Devel, can you put in? You play the Is it okay to take a headache pill? I think was the question. Thank you for playing Kahoot. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was awesome. I'll take awesome.
Yeah, that was good. Ooh, a headache.
We have a final question here, Miss Nurse Arnita, and the question is from Claudia. She's wondering, is it okay to take a headache pill after drinking? I'm assuming like some Tylenol or Bear or Advil.
Oh, I'm not crazy about that. Number one, it's probably not going to help right after you drink. And the reason why I'm saying I'm not crazy about that, because I have seen so many people throw up from drinking. So if you take the pill, like if you eat, most of the time you're going to throw it up. And then you're going to take another pill and you're going to throw it up. Because sometimes we used to take, I forgot the name of that pill, that we would give alcoholics to help settle them down, and they would throw that stuff right back up. Maybe not right afterwards, because I don't want you to take the pill and go to sleep, and then you're going to up there throwing up in the bed. No, I don't want you to do that. Maybe later, but not like after you drink, you just pop a pill. I don't want you to be laying in the bed and throw up or something, because I've seen that a lot, and that's dangerous.
So it might be better than what you're saying is after some time, if you're going to be drinking,
Right.
maybe if you go to sleep and you wake up and have a
Wake up.
headache,
That's what
that
I was
might be
about
the
to say.
time
Yeah,
to
I was about
have
to
it
say.
rather than to take it as a course of
Right.
prevention, because
Right.
that's not how it works.
Right. After you wake
Okay.
up, couple
All right.
hours, that might be better. Not just drink a beer and take a pill and lay down.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Those are
So,
good.
want to call your attention to the screen where we have some treatment strategies listed. And we'll make sure that these will be available for anyone who would like to find out more. They'll also put our email address, counseling services at PGCC for us, and for Nurse Arnita, Nurse Ann, Wellness Center at pgcc.edu. Feel free to send some questions, or if you want to schedule appointments, or you want to follow up with this in some way. We certainly advocate you doing that. Does anyone have any last words before we end?
Yeah, just enjoy your weekend. Thank you again, Nurse Arnita, for your expertise and your wealth of knowledge. And, just be safe out there, and, be mindful of your activity, your behavior, and, be cognizant of your surroundings as well, because you just never know. And while we're in this pandemic, find more creative ways to occupy your time and positively cope with being isolated, because alcohol sales are on the rise. And Nurse Ann mentioned to us earlier today that alcohol can weaken your immune system. So during a pandemic, we need our immune systems to be high functioning and well boosted. So just be mindful of that and use discretion.
Yes. Ditto on what Deville said. And just watch out for each other. I mean, if one of your friends are drunk or drank too many beers, just try to be around them, make sure they don't hurt themselves. So just, mindful of ourselves, but other people also, because they might not even know what's going on. Yes.
Right.
And thank you all. That was very good. Oh, thank you. Everybody be safe.
Thank you for the information. Be safe, everybody.
Thank you so much. You too, Claudia. Okay, bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Sade.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye, Nurse Arnita. Talk to you next week.
Danielle and Deville and everybody.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
Okay. Bye-bye. Be safe.